language and literary device. You guys requested this because you said you were having a hard time identifying imagery in literature, in fiction, nonfiction, and poetry. So I've got an essential question here for you. Think about, how do writers make their stories interesting, exciting, and easy to picture in your head? They make them vivid, they make them real to us, right? So that we can imagine the sights, the smells, the sounds, all of that stuff. How do they do that? Well, they do that by imagery. And today's lesson, we're going to be focusing on defining imagery and identifying imagery in popular songs. And I'm going to be doing a little bit of writing and modeling for you so you can see this in action. So imagery really affects an author's tone, and it can create a mood. So remember, tone and mood are all about feelings in literature and film. How does it make us feel? How does the author feel about what they're reading and or what they're writing? So we're going to be looking at some real world imagery. I'm going to describe some items for you with as much detail as possible. And I'm going to be using my sticky notes. So number one, shoes. So when my pair of shoes that I'm wearing today, I'm wearing a pair of Converse sneakers. They're scuffed up, obviously a few years old. They're white but turning gray with age and dirt and use. They have a red stripe around them. The rubber soles are worn down, and the shoelaces are starting to fray. Okay, so I've given you a picture of them. I've described it with as much detail as I can, right? And that's what imagery is all about, because you can read my description and you can begin to picture what I have on in your mind, okay? My teacher's shirt. So if I was going to describe the shirt that I'm wearing right now, I would tell you that it is a tie-dye sweatshirt. It has a large peace symbol on the front. The main colors are pink, purple, yellow, and green. It is a college sweatshirt that says peace, love, and boon on the back, and is soft from many washes. It smells of lavender, laundry, soap. Okay, so I've used my visual descriptions, and now I'm giving you a smell description, because it does have when laundry is fresh and clean, it has a very specific smell to it. And so I'm kind of giving you some visuals there. I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to go with the outside weather today. So the weather outside today, I can smell the fresh cut grass, because the guys are doing work around the landscaping today. The clouds are heavy and gray. The I want to say the sounds of lawnmowers are bustling around my apartment. It is relatively cool due to a light breeze. Okay, so I've given you smell, sight, and so this is all about what image can I create in your mind, right? So moving on, imagery. The definition of imagery is really focused on creating an image in the reader's mind by descriptively stimulating and accessing the five main senses. Now, I hope that you guys can remember all your five senses because they're on your body, so I would assume that you remember these. Okay, if not, let me go over them for you. Sorry, my PowerPoint's a little messed up right now. Here we go. So, one of the biggest things that we experience, right? We're always talking about food. Taste is one of our five senses. The other one that we use very, very often is touch. We love to describe things how they feel, the texture. Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it smooth? Is it rough? Um, is it bouncy? Is it firm? Okay. Sight, another one of our senses that we read very often. This is the main one that people use, as well as smell and sound. Okay, the bottom three are usually the three most often found in literature because those are the ones we really can take in a lot of information all at once with about our world. Okay, so when we look, so I'm gonna show you this. I've already answered them for you, but I want you to kind of get a feeling here. So the leaves were rustling in the breeze, creating a soothing lullaby. This is obviously accessing sound imagery. Then we have the stench of garbage wafted through the car windows as we drove past the city dump. That's smell. It's accessing our sense of smell. It's smell-based imagery. The apples were crisp and tart in the fall with lingering sweetness that reminded me of autumn. That's taste imagery. The sun reflected off the windshield, its glaring brightness blinded me for a moment. This is sight imagery. And then finally, my mother's hugs were always the best. She would wrap me up tight in her arms, and I knew I was loved. That is touch imagery. So imagery and literature. I'm going to show you a poem on the next slide, and I want you to be thinking about what do you see in the imagery? What mental picture can you paint? So here we go. This is called Daffodils by William Wordsworth. Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze, continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. So think about what image is coming to mind. What picture is your brain creating? What things are you associating this with? Don't just focus on the words that are there, but what does your mind create? Can you think about any smells that might be associated with this outside of it? Because that's really what imagery is creating a picture in your brain. Okay, imagery and songs. Songwriters love to use imagery. So I'm going to show you a song and think to yourself, what mental picture are you painting? So this is by Colors by Halsey. You're dripping like a saturated sunrise. You're spilling like an overflowing sink. You're ripped at every edge, but you're a masterpiece. And now you're tearing through the pages and the ink. So think about what picture in your brain pops up when you read these lyrics. What what sensations, what feelings are being created within you, because that is imagery. The overflowing sink, the tearing of a page. Think of the sound of a tearing page, the ink on your fingers, the beauty of a sunrise. This is all imagery to create a picture in your mind. So how do we identify imagery? You really need to be thinking about your five senses all the time. So I'm going to read you the poem called If You Forget Me by Pablo Neruda. And as we go through, I'm going to be highlighting examples of the imagery for you. So let me get this pulled up here. Let it load, I apologize. Okay. And so as we go, I'm going to highlight pieces of this for you, okay? So this is called If You Forget Me by Pablo Neruda. I want you to know one thing. If you know how this is, if I look at the crystal moon, at the red branch of the slow autumn at my window, if I touch near the fire the impalpable ash, the wrinkled body of the log, everything carries me to you, as if everything that exists, aromas, light, metals, we are little boats that sail toward those isles of yours that wait for me. Well now, if little by little you stop loving me, I shall stop loving you little by little. If suddenly you forget me, do not look for me, for I shall already have forgotten you. If you think it long and mad, the wind of banners that passes through my life, and if you decide to leave me at the shore of the heart where I have roots, remember that on that day, at that hour, I shall lift my arms, and my roots will set off to seek another land. But if each day, each hour, you feel that you are destined for me with implacable sweetness, if each day a flower climbs up to your lips to seek me, ah, my love, ah, my love, in me all that fire is repeated. In me nothing is extinguished or forgotten. My love feeds on your love, beloved. And as long as you live, it will be in your arms without leaving mine. Okay, so he uses a lot of nature imagery here. We read flowers and roots and shore, wind. Um, he talks about islands and the wrinkled body of a log, aromas, light and metals, boats, a crystal moon, a red branch. And he's doing all of this to bring up these images to you, um, and get you to really feel what he's feeling, which is essentially if the woman that he loves stops loving him, he's going to give up on her. But as long as she remains faithful and in love with him, he will remain faithful and in love with her. Because he believes that they're meant to be together. Just like the little boats sailed towards the islands, he thinks that they are destined toward one another. Okay. All right. So moving on. So I want you to think for a moment about how you would describe the absolute perfect day. What would your day look like outside? What would the weather be? How would it feel? What would it smell like? What if you could smell something on your perfect day, what would it be? For me, it would probably be brownies baking in the oven, because then I would know I would get brownies later.